You're now tuned in to the Cold Hard Truth, Cayman's #1 hard-hitting live podcast show, where we feature some straightforward conversations on political, social, and celebrity news and all things happening in the Cayman Islands and around the world. This show was created to give the people a voice and a means of being involved and informed without any filters. Sometimes it gets crazy, but we always keep it real. We bring you the tea, piping hot, so grab your favorite beverage and join the conversation via WhatsApp at 324-1612. Email tips@CaymanMarlRoad.com. Now, here's your host, Sandy Hill, broadcasting live from the beautiful Cayman Islands.
Little League, managed by the YMCA, and you can get more details. Download the registration form at dmsbroadcasting.ky.
Big news! I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
Cayman's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Morning, Sandy.
Morning.
Good morning, everybody.
How you doing?
Good morning,
Hey, it's Tuesday. Why not be excited?
Yep.
It's Taco Tuesday.
Taco Tuesday.
Why
That
not?
sounds good now.
Yeah,
Over
doesn't it?
here at CMR, it's Truthful Tuesday. Well, every day we tell the truth, but
Have a truthful taco.
we're gonna go a little bit extra hard this morning.
Yeah. Only on Tuesdays? Why on
Well,
Tuesdays?
I know, right? That's kind of an
Every other day.
CMI.
It might be true, it might not be true.
I
not
know,
sure.
I know. No, every day we kind of go hard here. Some days a little bit extra than others, but hey,
That's the same with our show. That's probably about once a week.
Yeah.
We go.
why not? That's why people tune in,
Yeah.
because they love the cold
Yeah.
hard truth. So.
Well, what is the cold hard truth today?
Well, we're going to be talking about a couple different things, actually. Going over some of the new COVID regulations. I know a lot of people are still a little bit like,
Yeah.
what's this all about? How does it work? Masks have been mandated in government schools. And then people are asking, well, has that been, done in private schools as well? So we're going to explain some of those elements of what's going on. There's some new board appointments that we're going to discuss as well. Notably for UCCI, which has been on our radar for a minute.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that those will be some positive changes for that institution.
Mm-hmm.
Some update about Pfizer. We see that they're looking for emergency, use authorization for children now 5 to 11. So that's a bit of good news. And
I did get an update from
the USA.
Yeah.
Made a big announcement yesterday that visitors have to be vaccinated.
Yeah,
And
that's huge.
here's the most important thing, really. Well, that's important. But they will only be accepting certain vaccinations. And guess which ones are not on the list? Just take a wild guess.
I'm going to guess Moderna. No, AstraZeneca.
They give those out.
AstraZeneca and
the Sinopharm.
No, the Chinese ones.
Wasn't that what's that one? The Sono.
There's two of them. There's Sino. Oh gosh.
Sono, whatever. Yeah. And then isn't there a Russian one too? Sputnik.
There's.
Isn't that the first satellite?
I know.
That's what they.
A Russian satellite or something.
Yeah. But that's what they call. I swear that's what they call the vaccine. Oh my god!
They both begin with S. Hold on. Let me tell you the proper names.
The good news is we don't use those here. So,
well, the interesting thing is, you might not believe this, but there are people here who have been pushing to have those used here, and they want those options. And they think that there is a private physician who's been given authorization to bring it in for his own personal use. But there are other people who are like, why can't the government bring in? It's a Sinopharm, and the other one is called Sinovac.
Now I know there are some conspiracy theorists out there.
There's a few,
who think they're you're getting robots injected into your body when you get the
you've watched way too much Matrix.
But if there were a country out there that would do
Russia and the Chinese or the Russians, that's the same thing I said.
You might suspect would actually do that. Would you really want to get vaccine from Russia or China? By the way, the inventors of the COVID-19.
Blake, you're a little bit too smart for your own good, because I said the same thing last week when someone was saying it. I'm like, why would you? I mean, we think that this Chinese were either reckless, or we don't think necessarily they did it intentionally, but they're the ones who let this virus out in the world. And they're going to be the same ones that you're going to, and we know they've always been fudging their numbers in terms of infections, whatever, but they're the same ones who've had a long and extensive history, the government, of not really telling the truth. And that's going to be the vaccine that you're going to be like, hooray, bring that in for us.
Yeah, let's get that.
Most importantly, it was announced last week at our own press conference that, quite ironically, neither of those companies, I think specifically the question was about the Sinopharm, but neither of those companies have sought authorization from any Western agencies like the FDA or like UK Public Health.
Well, because they'll find the robots in the vaccine. That's why. They'll be tracking you. China or Russia is going to insert some sort of tracking device into their vaccine.
The most
Come on.
Notorious with human rights? No.
Yeah, absolutely not.
Those countries, what a...
I know, right? They have such a stellar reputation.
So, I mean, there's no espionage involved in either of those countries ever. Look, even then, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm sure there's some things that go on there. But we have Pfizer. I'm really happy that we got that. I mean,
that's the best one.
We're very lucky.
Yeah.
Best one.
Yeah.
And then people also have this idea that they want, they're saying, oh, what about the Johnson & Johnson? And I'm not saying there's anything necessarily wrong with Johnson & Johnson, but when I challenge those people, this whole theory of people getting blood clots from vaccines, there's some truth to that. So there is a small percentage of individuals who have gotten blood clots after taking the vaccines, but guess which one that is? It isn't Pfizer or Moderna, it's Johnson & Johnson, AstraZeneca. So now people are saying, well, those are the ones that they want in terms of an option. I'm like, so when you start getting a blood clot for real now, not just pretend, because that's not one of the side effects of the Pfizer one, the mRNA vaccines, you'll be okay with that. You're not going to be suing the government and complaining all over social media. Yeah. And it seems they didn't know that little important bit of detail information. And they say the devil's in the details.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I did get an update from my son's school, CIS. They sent out some guidelines, which is good. It's kind of what we've all been wanting to know.
And
they said that the purpose of the message was to provide some detailed updates regarding the COVID-19 regulations that the government is going to be finalizing in September, and CIS will be adopting those as well. So that means all staff, visitors, and students ages 5 years and above are expected to wear masks while moving through the school indoors and in a group setting. Masks may be removed when playing outdoors, eating, or working independently at a desk. Pick up and drop off while outside still requires masking by all individuals 5 years and older. Children, students must bring their own water bottle.
Isn't that standard?
That's pretty standard. Sharing the food must be avoided. Reduce the number of persons on campus who are not staff, and no field trips should be scheduled. So there you go.
Interesting.
Yeah. So that's good. I mean, makes you feel better as a parent knowing that what your school's doing.
Well, I mean, both my kids' schools, they're separate schools, but they're 100% vaccinated. All the teachers, as well as all the vendors that come in and out of the school. So, and then they also obviously take other precautions. But
yeah,
I don't know.
What about your daughter's school?
You know, from day one, they have had a position. Well, when I asked them about their policy, they didn't yet have a policy, but thankfully they were able to confirm that everyone was actually vaccinated, despite them not having a policy in place. And they also confirmed that any visitors, you know, they do like someone who does like music and yoga or whatever, that all of those individuals were likewise vaccinated as well. And, you know, we have to ask. I mean, as a parent, I'm asking extracurricular coaches, you know, swimming lessons, whatever. Are you guys vaccinated? You know what is so weird? Someone messaged me yesterday. We were out doing some donations in the community, which I'm going to talk a little bit about this morning on the show. But someone messaged me and said, hey, I would have loved to come with you just for a little ride out, because she doesn't have a car and whatever, and go to help you with the shopping and delivery. And I said, yeah, but you're not vaccinated. You know, right now, no unvaccinated person is getting in my car.
Yeah.
Just like no unvaccinated person that can come to my house at the moment.
Yeah.
Because we have community transmission. And, you know, I told her, don't be insulted by it. It is what it is. And she was kind of like, oh, okay. And I said, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking just this morning. Your liberties as an unvaccinated person are shrinking around you.
Yes.
And if you're a vendor that goes into other people's houses,
that's why I don't know why
you should probably think this through.
That's why I don't know why the schools have such a hard time saying, hey, yeah, your teacher's vaccinated. Why not just confirm that?
My schools, both the schools, they did.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you have to show a vaccination card to get on an airplane.
Well, I can tell you my
what's the difference?
My youngest kid's school, what they had to do is they did presentations about here's the actual facts about the vaccine. You're not going on YouTube and I'm giving you the actual facts. Now you make a choice. If you want to get vaccinated, I've laid it out for you. Here's the side effects that you will experience. Here's what can't happen. And now you get to make your decision. And if you say, no, I'm sorry, we're going to have to not move forward. We'll pay you through whatever, you know, kind of like that, you know, like do the right thing, but we're going to have to basically make you redundant now. And so,
I mean, I'm sure
that's what they did. I mean, but it's sad. It's sad to see that because there's some lovely people that will not be able to do their job.
I'm sure, you know, none of the teachers are going to the airport when they say, you know, let me see your vaccination card before you get on the plane. They're not going, I'm sorry, that's personal information. You know, you have to, it's not personal anymore. You have to show that.
Well, vaccines never have been personal. We've been giving them to people forever.
Well, right.
It's not
I don't understand.
I don't need to know what.
I don't understand that stance.
I don't need to know what medication you're on. And please, again, keep the ivermectin to yourself. That I wish was personal information. I don't want to know you're taking horse dewormer.
Right.
They're still willing to share that information, but they're not going to take a vaccine.
Yeah, it is a little bit frustrating. But then
we have to share our kids' information with the school.
Yes,
on vaccines. Okay, I'm just checking. All right.
Yeah, and I think too, you know, as parents, we're going to have people saying, "Oh, you know, there's a birthday party every other weekend." How many of you parents are going to be asking, "Are you vaccinated?" as the host of the party?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. Me too. There's a lady last night at the grocery store in Savannah at Foster's. She said to me, "Oh, are you going as far as northward?" And I said, "No, actually, I'm not." You know, she wanted to ride, and after she asked the question, it occurred to me that the very next thing I was going to ask her, if I was going that far, which I wasn't, so unfortunately for her, I couldn't give her a ride. But the very next thing would have been, "Are you vaccinated?"
Yeah,
because you can come in a car if you're not. And I'm not going to just take your word at it. At some point, I'm going to be saying,
well, I didn't know
show me your ID.
I didn't know you gave rides, Sandy. I'm going to hit you up next time I need a ride.
I know we need to do a show called Riding with Sandy.
Yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, that's actually a good one.
CMR taxi service.
Yeah, Riding with Sandy. All the accidents.
I'll put you through the ringer for all the 15 minutes.
It's not road. It's Cayman Marl Rides. That's what it is. CMR.
Exactly. Pond the road.
Catch CMR right now on YouTube. We'll see you tomorrow.
Bye, everyone.
All right, guys. Bye-bye. I was getting some feedback yesterday. Somebody was saying they absolutely love the little segments that we do with Blake and Aaron in the morning. So much fun. I enjoy it. And you know what? It's coming in terms of one day, I guess we'll have to wait until we reopen though, that we're actually going to be on the radio. We're going to, once engineers can get here and get some stations up and running, we're going to be in the radio. So let's talk about a few things. First of all, good morning, good morning, good morning. Good morning, one. Good morning, all. Good morning to Marshall. Louis Germain is here. Buenos dias, señorita or señora. Dime. Alba. Patricia, buenos dias. Patricia, thank you so much. I'm going to talk about Patricia here in a second. Jackie, Miss Alice, Rosemarie, Anne-Marie, Louis, giving us a little weather update there in Detroit. Diamond Princess Sapphire, hello, darling. Morna, buenos dias to Elizabeth. Evelyn is here. Our Malrodian family, she says, good morning to everybody. Felicia, Odette, Carol is always here. The ever beautiful Carol. Why some people want Cinefarm is beyond any reasoning my brain can handle, but they do. Hi, Rosemary. Cara is here. She says, good morning, here with my latte tuning in. Well, I'm here with my water and watermelon. I'm actually eating, where's my water? Oh, yes. I'm eating watermelon for breakfast. I put a lid on it this morning because you guys know I'm always spilling my water. I'm a little bit klutzy. So I've actually got a lid on it this morning. Normally I use a straw, but this one it's kind of easier to actually, I could stick a straw in there, but This is literally the most water I drink all day. It's in the morning, so I'm trying to get hydrated. And I do a lot of talking. 2 hours of talking is actually more than most people think. Courtney, Atlas says 99% of the world was made in China. Just speak for yourself. I wasn't made in China. Nathina, good morning. Wee Wee's here. Olivia, Yarali, Brenda, the beautiful Brenda. We missed you yesterday, Miss Brenda. Where were you? She says, yes, good morning, all. My house, my rules, no vax, no max. Miss Brenda's rhyming this morning. Touche, touche. Sheila is here with us. Thank you, Mark, for tuning in. How are you? Says you don't need a vax card to get on the plane. Well, not yet, but you soon will if you're going to the US of A. I was thinking about this when America made this announcement yesterday. And I thought to myself, you know, there's so many people who'd be like, oh, I'm not getting vaccinated. This is a conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. But now I wonder, now that the US is saying all visitors starting in November will be required to be vaccinated to touch down on their soil, how many of you that would actually impact? So I want to know from some of you who've been really staunch anti-vaxxers, is this something that is going to change your mind in any way, shape, or form? Here's what I'm thinking. Y'all love to go Miami shopping. You know who you are. And despite what you say, some of you, a shopping trip is more important than your conspiracy theories about the vaccine. Is it not? I'm just curious. Waiting for you all to answer the question. Yes, Patricia, it's coming. It's coming. So let's talk about what the Biden administration has said. So they're going to lift travel restrictions starting in November for foreigners who are fully vaccinated against the coronavirus. So they're reopening the country to thousands of people, including those who've been separated from family in the United States during the pandemic and easing a major source of tension with Europe. So this is halting an 18-month ban on travel from 33 countries, including members of the European Union, China, except they're not going to accept those 2 vaccines from China, but anyway, Iran, South America, Brazil, and India. And they're hoping that this will help rejuvenate the U.S. tourism industry. Isn't that interesting? So they're looking to rejuvenate their industry, which has gotten quite a lick. So there's that. And their tourism industry has been left crippled, much like ours, by the pandemic. So we're not the only one that is having an issue with this. Listen, tourism around the world is a multi-billion-dollar industry. People travel all over the world, and their businesses, not just in the Cayman Islands, but even in the United States of America. Orlando, for example, and even Miami, are big hubs for tourists from all over the world. So people go to, what are all these parks called? Disney World, Epcot Center, all these places in the world. That's driven a lot by tourism. It's not necessarily people who live there. When I lived in Tampa, we have Busch Gardens. We don't have Epcot Center in Tampa. But the good thing about Tampa is I felt like we were never that far from anything. So if you wanted to hop on a plane and go to Busch Gardens, go to Miami, or you wanted to drive to Miami if you were really motivated, you could easily do that. Orlando was about 2 hours, 2.5 hours maybe. We always did it in less time because, when you get on the intersection, child, you hit the metal to the pedal. And so, we would sometimes go and do the fun things in Orlando, eating at some of the restaurants and enjoying some of the sights and stuff. Although I lived in Florida, going to these different things, but then there are people who travel from all over the world to see those sites as well. The shopping in Orlando, all of the outlet malls and outlet stores and whatever was so much fun, right? Now, I had in-laws at one point that were in the Orlando area. So we always had a reason to go for a weekend trip to Orlando. So we would load up the dogs and just take a drive. Angeline, good morning. Norene, good morning. Miss Iva is here. Scott's got it locked. How are you? Daisy, inspiring, says good morning. Beautiful Miss Sue. Miss Sue, I'm going to message you after the show. I figured something out, I think, that I want to talk to you about. Omiria says the world has changed. Get vaccinated. You soon won't have a choice. Well, it's encroaching. Damaris joining us from New York. Hey, Nueva York. Rosemarie says yummy watermelon. Oh yeah, I love me a good watermelon. This one's nice and sweet. So Mark says that there's this segregation between the vax and the unvaxxed. It's like black against whites. Not really. I wouldn't quite go that far. None at all. It's not the same thing. Because the segregation based on race is an obvious prejudice. You see, you can't help whether you're black or white. You're born what you're born, right? So your parents have you. Normally, if your parents are black, then you're going to show up black unless... When wouldn't you show up the same thing as your parents? Unless there's some recessive gene in your family somewhere, or they mix you up at birth or something really crazy. But you don't have a choice with the color of your skin, your pigmentation, right? Now, I know y'all be trying to bleach it out, but I'm saying you're born what you're born. So when you have no choice about something and people judge you or treat you differently based on that, that is a prejudice, right? So I've got beautiful brown skin. I have no choice in that. And I would hope that no one would be judging me based on that and treating me unfairly and, I can't use that water fountain and that kind of craziness. A vaccination situation is very, very different. You actually have a choice, first of all, on whether you get vaccinated or not in 99.9% of the people. And those who have a medical reason why they can't, then that's a very different situation. But putting restrictions in place based on the choices that you've made, because remember, even the anti-vaccinated have said, this is my choice. They have said that. They said this is a personal choice, in fact. Well, if it's a personal choice, then we know that personal choices do indeed come with consequences. Mark says heavy foot on the gas. Oh my gosh, the Strawberry Festival in Tampa. Oh, that brings back memories. I went to one or two. I wasn't a big fan of Six Flags. Childless ride scare the bejesus out of me. Cara says, I've already heard a few say in these words, I'm getting vaccinated so I can go away if I need to. I got vaccinated to protect myself and my community, and I wear my mask, and big stores, I see signs on the doors saying masks are mandated. Yes, masks are mandated everywhere you go in Cayman right now. So listen, Karen, Dawn, and Carmelie, good morning. So not only do you have to think about potential trips like vacation trips or just traveling for other purposes, but most importantly, if you need to travel for medical reasons, you never know when you have to be air ambulance out of here and have to go to the US. So to me, that's a much bigger consideration when it comes to travel. And I would want the option to be air ambulanced out of the Cayman Islands if something really drastic happens. So Sandy says, Mark, it's nothing like that. Nothing racial about wanting to get vaccinated to save lives. Michelle, can we talk about the media pushing the fear narrative? When will they chat with those families who are recovering at home with COVID? No hospitalization, and yet our poor kids will be masked up for how long? Michelle, I'm trying to understand. So you're saying that we shouldn't be wearing masks because no one has yet been hospitalized? No current hospitalizations. We've had other people in the past who have been hospitalized because of COVID. But why wouldn't you wear a mask when that's proven to help slow down transmission or prevent it, actually, if everybody's wearing masks? Good morning. Mr. Blair says, Orlando's still waiting for you. It's hot here. Oh, it's hot in Cayman too, Chell. Miss Ruth joining us from Nicaragua. Oh, buenos dias, mamacita. So there's still another 328 of you, gone up to 331, joining the show this morning. Most people just silently watch, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Thank you guys so much. Cuz Naz says the sad part is the ones that don't want to take the vaccine, when they get the COVID, all of a sudden they want to go to the hospital for doctors to save their lives. I don't get it. Well, someone mentioned the other day, and I thought this was kind of interesting. They said trying to convince an anti-vaxxer to get vaccinated is the equivalent of trying to convince a atheist that God exists. And I thought about that for a minute, and I thought, it's an interesting analogy. Yes, it's a very interesting analogy. And what's more interesting about it is that both of them, when they're on deathbed, normally have a change of mind. Like I've known people who were atheists, and when death came a knocking, they're like, oh, this can't be the end. This can't be it. There has to be something beyond. And I thought that was interesting. I mean, you live your entire life saying that this is it. There's nothing beyond, blah, blah, blah. You're willing to accept that. And then when death is at your door, it is a very different story. So it's a bit of an interesting position, because a lot of, persons who get COVID, and they're in hospitals, they're on ventilators, they take the position that all of a sudden they want the vaccine. They were complete anti-vaxxers, and when their life depended on it, they wanted the vaccine. And unfortunately, it was then too late, because that's not how the vaccine works. It doesn't offer you any protection once you have COVID and you're on a ventilator and you're about to die. Sad fact, right? So I did think that, I thought the irony of that statement, I can't remember who posted it on Facebook, but I thought the irony of that statement really is that both of them have this sort of change of heart, if you will, at not even the 11th hour, the 11th hour and 59 minutes kind of thing, right before the clock is about to strike midnight. So super, super interesting. It's just human nature, I think, to recognize that maybe at the end of the day, you've actually been wrong about, your way of thinking. It's scary. It must be scary to be on death's door. Has anyone here ever really been like they're about to call it, you were, right there kind of thing? And somehow you miraculously recovered. Most of us haven't ever been there. I mean, sometimes we feel like something's a knocking, but you can't say that, oh my gosh, I was on a ventilator, I was about to die, and then I was brought back from the brink of it all. Most people don't have that experience because most people who are there, unfortunately, they're not able to survive. I've been watching a lot of coverage about people who are being hospitalized with COVID, and the doctors and nurses will tell you that pretty much, they do their best to offer people treatments and whatever's available. And they say that basically when they get to that point where they are going to be incubated, is that the word I'm looking for? Is that the right word? I think I'm always confusing with another word. Intubated, not incubated, intubated. In other words, they're going to put that device down your throat, and it's not by the way, it's not a very pleasant situation. It's not a pleasant thing to have done to you, right? I've had a girlfriend, unfortunately, not because of COVID, but something else, who's basically had to have that done to her. And it's not nice. And when they actually try to take it out, there's a real risk of further injury, not just going in, but if you come back from that, there's a real risk of some serious injuries being done to everything when they're trying to remove that. So so the sad part is, they say that once they have to do that to someone, they know most of those people are not going to survive. I mean, the video after video, the nurse and doctor is like, oh wow, if we have to put him on a ventilator, he's not going to survive this. And it's got to be so sad for them. I can't imagine being around so much death, right? Have a think about this. I mean, I've never wanted to be a nurse. Never. I don't have the patience for it. I don't have the taste, like nothing. I never a desire to be a nurse, right? Having said that, I feel a great degree of sadness for them because they are literally seeing death every single day. Like the emotional component of that has to be one of the hardest things in the world, because you become a physician and a nurse to help people in their probably darkest hours. And your hope is you're actually going to help them recover, right? And they're going to get better. And you have these stories of, this person has survived and all this great stuff. But the reality, on the other hand, right now, is that they are seeing more death than ever. And by the way, speaking of death, let me tell you what the numbers are this morning in terms of COVID. But it is now official that the US, this pandemic, has now surpassed the number of people that the Spanish flu, that pandemic, because that was a pandemic in the early 1900s, it has now surpassed the number of people that killed, and that has been the worst pandemic that has ever hit the United States, killing over 675,000 people. So now you have a situation where it's surpassed that. Isn't that crazy? Wow. Yeah. That's those are the records that are being set by COVID. Kind of crazy to think about. But yeah, children are masking up now. We as parents, we're masking up. So yesterday I went to Cost You Less, and let me do some appreciative shout outs at this time. So let people know that when they cover their masks, when they wear masks, they need to cover their noses. Yeah, that's kind of common sense, right? Do we need to do a tutorial on how to wear masks properly? Island Shores says we don't want to wear masks to prevent hospitalization. Good morning, ma'am. Yeah, we don't seem to want to do anything. This is a thing that I'm a little bit confused about. People don't want to take the vaccine. They don't want to wear masks. It's like so you want to die is what you're telling me, basically, right? Because nothing that we know helps us slow down the spread of this disease. This virus, people are always kicking up a fuss about. Like I'm always I'm like, it's one thing to be against vaccines, but when you start saying, oh, no mask wearing, no this, no that, I'm just like, no social distancing. So you're just resolved to the fact that you're happy just dying from COVID, in other words, is what you're telling me. Luma Yag. Oh, the last name is so much easier. Montemayor Clifford. Good morning, watching from the city of love in the Philippines. Thank you for tuning in. Andrea wants to know why the Compass wants to charge you for news when I can get my news from CMR. Andrea, if I had the answer to that question, I guess I'd be working for the Compass. I don't know what to tell you. Yeah, they set up a paywall. And, we were the ones who actually, broke the story that they were actually setting up the paywall. And, I don't know what to tell you about that business model, folks. They seem to think it works. I don't know how many paid customers they have. First of all, I know that a lot of people share their login credentials. I've heard a lot of that happening. Some organizations offer that as a benefit to being employed by them. You get a login to the Compass. Hardly a benefit, really, but I mean, it's not like it's a expensive benefit. I mean, $10 a month, really, whatever. Your Raleigh says Sandy needs to start charging as well. No, I don't think in this day and age it makes sense to pay to read any news. Now, there are big organizations like the New York Times, even the Miami Herald. To read some of their content, you have to subscribe to it. But I'm a little bit of two minds. Sometimes they are writing exclusive content that you only find on their publication. But the exclusivity of news is something that isn't as exclusive as maybe it used to be 5-10 years ago. Because let's just be honest, given the technology that we have, no matter where news is happening, people, the AP is going to pick up on a story and it's going to go all over the place. We have had our story picked up on the international news front publication in the UK when we did the story in the school teacher. And whatever happened to that investigation? So many investigations just quietly disappear and we never get any real information, right? So yes, I don't think there's any news in Cayman that's all that exclusive. And in fact, bless their little heart, one of these days I want to meet the owner of the Compass, Mr. Jimmy Bergstrom. I hear he's actually a really nice guy. And I'm sure he's a businessman. He's a lawyer. He probably isn't all that invested in news anyway. But, sometimes the Compass might break a story, but let's be honest. If you're really looking for breaking news, you're probably going to be reading CMR. And I'm not saying that because I'm here at CMR. I'm saying that because that has been proven time and time again. For example, the weekend COVID breach, who gave it to you first? We had the story up before Travel Time even told you that there was a breach. You know what I'm saying? And we consistently have maintained that level of being able to bring you news as it's happening, because we do live in 2021. And in 2021, we don't have to wait an entire weekend. Funny enough, the Compass put the news story up yesterday, because I only know that because someone sent it to me. And someone said, why... someone sent it to me, and they said, the young lady who's featured in that, they said, oh, I wonder if she's going to be complaining that the Compass is harassing her, because look, they finally put the story up. And I kind of chuckled because, it took them a while, like an entire weekend, to put the story up. And then they referred to a statement from 2 days later from the government. Maybe they were taking the weekend off. I don't know. But are you going to pay for that? I mean, would you be happy paying for that? I probably wouldn't, but hey, whatever. So yes, even during things like storms, like somebody was pointing out to them, like, oh, we want your storm news. And they still had the paywall up. And then they were like, oh, we forgot to take it down. Listen, they are a competitor, but I wish them nothing but the best of luck. Ja Rover says, I wrote this song long before he became president of the United States, and had an interview with Tammy Sullivan, a while back, and I humbly ask you to play my song for the people. Thank you for your support, local Karen music. Ja, where's the song? You sent it to me somehow? So Jonathan says, now that restaurants and other merchandise stores are closing, I say keep it up. Every day that goes by while the borders are closed, my G3 plan, remind us of what your G3 plan is again. I think Ganja is part of his G3 plan. Will come closer and closer by the day. What was it? Ganja, gambling, and something. Do you all know what kind of radical changes we would have to do to get the tourists back to the island? Jonathan makes a fair point here, because even in the best of circumstances, tourists are not going to come flocking back anyway. It's going to take a minute, just like it will all over the world, for things to get back to normal. And there will never be a normal like what we had before. It will always be different. We will remember life, honestly. Every single one of you listening to this program now will remember life before COVID and after COVID. You will tell your grandchildren, oh, I remember the summer before COVID-19, which would have been 2018, when I was able to travel freely and I did this and I did that. We will always have, this will be, in my opinion, one of those singular events in your life that you probably never forget. Even if you got Alzheimer's and you're like 105, you're still going to be mumbling, COVID. Miss Jackie, thank you. Oh, this is a question. What about the help per person who works? The helper, is a helper who works in a household that doesn't have the COVID shot? Is it something in place for them? So let me just clarify, Jackie, the question. So for domestic helpers, you're saying if they work for people who are not vaccinated. Well, let me tell you something, Jackie. I think this goes both ways. First of all, we have employers who are not wanting people in their homes who are not vaccinated, like myself. I would be one of those people. Thankfully, my helper got vaccinated on her own, no prompting from me, child. As a matter of fact, months ago, when I was there covering a news story, I just saw her show up and I was like, Miss Pam, what are you doing here? She's like, Miss Sandra, I'm here to get vaccinated. And I said, mess with you? Good. So she didn't need any prompting from me, child. Miss Pam got plenty of sense. But there's some people who are not. And so a lot of parents are having to choose between a helper they may like a lot and having someone around their child who's not vaccinated. And, most people are going to pick their children over a helper because they're like, helpers can be replaced. My child, not so much so. So I think that if you're a domestic helper, you have that right as well. If you want to choose to say, you know what, I don't want to work for someone, especially in such close quarters, who isn't vaccinated, then that's your choice. I don't see anything wrong with that. I mean, obviously you have to find a new job. Lida says, can you ask any of the government or private medical professionals to explain to us what chemicals are in the Pfizer vaccine and why it's so different from the other vaccines throughout the history of the world? Those facts are missing from the current public debate. Well, Lydia, we've actually talked about this already on this program, so let me remind you a little bit about this. But to Lydia's point, we will be starting this week. I think we're going to kick it off on Thursday. It was supposed to be a Tuesday, Thursday thing, but I think today is not enough time. But we are actually going to be starting a CMR COVID-19, gosh, what are we calling it? Spotlight series. Okay. So Cayman Mall Road COVID-19 Spotlight series. And you'll be happy to know that we're going to have some fantastic guests on the program, including epidemiologists from all over the world and some others. And trust me, they're going to be top-notch experts in the world of, I think we're getting a Yale professor. We're going all out. We're pulling out all the stops to get you people to answer these types of questions. But the mRNA, which you're probably referring to, technology, and someone just sent it to me, reminding me the full thing of it is messenger ribonucleic acid. That technology, Lydia, has been around for some 50 years. So it is nothing new. And I know people keep thinking it's new because perhaps they've never heard of it before, but it actually is nothing new. And it has been used, listen to this now, and we've said this before in this program as well, it has been used in cancer vaccines for 10 years. So that's 10 years of use already in a cancer vaccine. So I think that hopefully will help. But stay tuned because these series that we're doing are going to be in the evening hours. And I think you'll get lots and lots of interesting information. So Ms. Brenda says, if you're on a work permit, yes, they have to be vaccinated. Well, we haven't passed that yet, have we? There's still no mandating of vaccination for work permit holders or anybody else. Everyone seems to be encouraging the government to do so. Oh, yes, Jonathan reminds us of his G3 plan. It's such a fancy name, G3. Gambling, ganja, and go-go girls. So I say keep it, people. My goodness, I don't know how well that's going to go off in a Christian society, Jonathan. Yareli says, Jamelia laughing out loud so she can fund all the lawsuits. Some foo-foo people apparently want to take her to. Oh, let us talk about lawsuits. Thank you, Yareli, for bringing this up because this is something I want to talk about. So a number of you sent me a video yesterday of a woman who breached quarantine this weekend, calling the police, recording that phone call, and actually telling the police that she's calling to complain about me. Because she woke up to 20 messages on her phone. She must not have a lot of friends. That said that we had posted that she was COVID positive. Now, first of all, let me just say this about this young lady. I'm purposely not calling her name because I know she's not firing in all cylinders all the time, clearly. I don't know what kind of special sauce she's putting in her pasta. But a couple of things. Number one, that has never been posted by CMR. So she is a liar, which doesn't surprise me because she seems to have a little bit of a pathological history of not telling the truth. Oh, I don't want to recap all the lies, but let's just say that she's not a very honest person. That's something I can say with 100% confidence and that I could prove with 100% confidence. You see, nobody can sue you for defamation and win. Well, unless you ignore the lawsuit, which we learned how that worked out the last time. But if it's the truth, so the truth is an absolute defense to defamation. So no one ever published that this woman was positive. In fact, you guys know that we do her homework a little bit. And when we found out that it was her, she posts everything on social media, first of all. She's one of those people. She takes a fart and has to go on social media. Oh, look, I've got the sweetest smelling fart in this side of Jamaica, of Kingston. You like my fart? That's just how she is. And she had posted her status, which if she would only read, I don't know if she knows how to read, but if she would only read, she would know that in the actual story that we wrote, we mentioned how she said on the 14th, I think it was, that her and her family had tested negative. So where would we put up that you're positive? Girl, you have no sense and you embarrass yourself, to be quite frank and honest with you. You should be ashamed of yourself, but I know you have just no shame. So she calls the police station and makes this complaint with all sorts of lies and false information. She claims she's born in the 80s. I was like, she's only in her 30s? Oh, mamacita. You brag about all this plastic surgery you've had. If you're only that old, Lord Jesus, give it another 10 years. Anyway, I digress. The petty side is just sometimes I got to keep it under control. But honestly, folks, that video was going around. I had to chuckle because I'm like, she makes this comment about, oh, I've spoken to my lawyer and I'm calling you because she's defaming me and this is defamatory. Well, if it's defamatory, go back to your lawyer because that's a civil matter for you to deal with. The police can't help you with defamation, sister. Get yourself some professional help now. And what she didn't tell the police officer, which was interesting, is her lawyer is a criminal lawyer, Mr. Jonathan. He's a criminal lawyer who we, the people of the Cayman Islands, are paying for through the legal aid office. So he's not going to be taking on no civil cases. So maybe that's why he told her, if you really have a complaint, don't bring it to me. Take it up with the police. But the police can't really help you either. Because number one, no one has defamed you. So there's that minor inconvenience of the truth. And number two, you just misrepresented everything. So I didn't even listen to the full video. I listened to about the first minute of it. And I was like, this girl, I don't have 9 minutes and whatever seconds of my life to waste on her listening to that ridiculous video. Because if you start out with a lie, I'm sure everything else after that is a big, bold-faced lie. Oh. She got her fake Louis outfit on, feet kicked up at the Wyndham, trying to live this fabulous life on the dime of the people. Her husband does have a job. And the government of the Cayman Islands should make them pay back every single dime, since she claims that she worked so hard for her stay at the Wyndham. They should make sure she has worked hard for that and make her pay it back. But then I guess ultimately we're paying for it because they're NAU's number one client. So someone just sent a message on WhatsApp saying, isn't it illegal to record someone without their knowledge? What a hot mess. Another person said, the husband is so dumb. He said he wants to sue for deformation. Don't even know the correct term. Ooh, what a hot mess. Anybody can sue. It doesn't mean that you can win. Doesn't mean that you have a case. In fact, in the coming weeks, we're going to tell you about another frivolous lawsuit that someone has filed against a local company for breach of contract, they claim. Now, that's going to be an interesting one because that person has been featured on the show before. And so you guys are going to find, listen, we keep on top of things in law. One thing I was thinking about, I was in the shower this morning. Am I the only person who, when I'm like doing things like taking a shower, ironing or whatever, and your brain starts like think about things. So the video she posted was with a call to the HSA, and I doubt that person knew that they were being recorded. Oh, there's another video? I don't even know, child. I mean, I know about the one to the police station, but recording the HSA people, wow. She's probably breaking some laws, but honestly, she doesn't really care. I mean, she has no concern for anything called the law. So anyway, I was in the shower this morning and I was having a think about it. And I was thinking to myself about this case with John Felder, right? And the fact that he won. And I thought, everybody has a reputation of lawyers as being all seedy. They're no good, this and that. And that really isn't true. The vast majority of the legal profession, I would dare say, are somewhat upstanding individuals. Some don't get involved in litigation, none at all. So I'm talking about the litigants, the litigators, I should say, is the correct term. And I had to wonder about this, right? Do you not have an obligation to the truth? So if you know that your client is misrepresenting the truth and your client is lying, do you as an attorney not have the obligation to not put forward that dishonest information to the court? So the attorneys at Priestley's, I'm going to call them out. They can call me later. Knew the circumstances under which their client left the Cayman Islands. So they knew about his termination letter. And I now know this because of correspondence in the Joint Liquidator Report. So they would have known about his termination letter. They would have known about the cease and desist letter, which was sent to their attention on behalf of their client. And they have still put forward a case against CMR and against myself where they claimed all of these other things about their client, which isn't true. So how can you as a lawyer lie to the court effectively on behalf of your client? Is there no moral obligation to the truth? There's no ethical code of conduct for attorneys? I'm just really wondering about this. And this, some of my best ideas I find come when I'm having a shower. Isn't that funny? When you're kind of like you're really not thinking about it, but these things come to you and you have an aha moment and you go, there could be something to this. Let me explore this avenue a bit more. And I don't know if there's any lawyers listening to the program, but I'm curious about what you think. Do lawyers have an obligation to the court to tell the truth? I mean, supposedly the prosecution has an obligation to seek out the truth, even if it means losing their case. Does that also not apply to civil litigation and civil attorneys? Or do you just tell whatever your client puts forward, although you know that it's not true because you're trying to get paid as well? It's an interesting question. Gladys says, morning, Sandy, need to get vaccinated because we will have to live with this virus. COVID isn't going anywhere no time soon. Well, that's for sure. Lavana, good morning, darling. How are you? She says it's their own damn life that they're trying to save. Yes, we do need to teach them how to wear their mask. See a lot not covering their nose. Pauline, I keep seeing you posting stuff, but unfortunately, I can't see what it is. Miss Brenda says, I hope that all of the deadbeat fathers will keep enough money to give their children lunch money before they spend it under G3 places. Oh, Miss Brenda, don't even go there, child. You see, that G3 is going to just be a lot of trouble. Roger, good morning. What if you're asymptomatic and then given the vaccine, aren't you then getting a double dose? Shouldn't people be tested before again? No, Roger, that's actually not correct. In fact, Roger, if you have tested positive for COVID and you then get the vaccine, you have more protection because you have both the natural antibodies and the vaccine-induced antibodies. And the research has shown that you are in the best position. So you never want to catch COVID on your own because the risk associated with it is too high of a chance. But if you happen to catch it and you survive without any issues and you're asymptomatic and you don't have long haul COVID and all this other stuff, you are actually in a most fortunate position that would be enviable according to the research. Michelle says it will disappear because it's a private school. Make it have been a what is this we're talking about, Michelle? I'm sorry, I've lost you on that one. Something about a private school. The investigation that I mentioned earlier, that was Prospect Primary, wasn't it? Miss Ann, good morning. Nicole says, go, go, girls. She had to repeat that. She's like, am I hearing right? Patricia, yes, thank you, Patricia. So yesterday morning, I mentioned to you guys that I was going to be assisting some of the Georgetown families. And I want to thank people like Patricia, Irvelyn, and some others who I can't remember right now, but definitely those two have stepped forward. Oh, yes, Tisha. These folks have stepped forward and provided gift certificates to fosters to help. So I did 2 families yesterday. Patricia did 1 family in the evening. And these are families, folks, with a minimum of 5 people in each family, right? So I went to Cost You Less yesterday afternoon and had my list of what each family was requesting. And I did my best to try to buy enough, a couple packs of chicken, a couple of packs of beef. If they wanted rice, I got the big bag of rice because, they're going to be in there for like 2 weeks. And big shout out to Alric Lindsay as well, because there were some things that I couldn't find at Cost You Less. And then I had to go to business meetings. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough time to go to Foster's, which normally I should have started at Foster's first. But so I didn't have time to go to Foster's. So I gave Alric the delivery bags. Both people were located in Windsor Park area, and he's well familiar, having grown up in Windsor Park. And I said, Alric, here's these 2 bags for this family, these 2 bags for this family. And I need you to go to Foster's and add, because I couldn't get like cup of soup at Cost You Less. I don't know why they don't have cup of soup, but they didn't have that. They didn't have beans, like regular beans that we use for cooking rice and beans, which is kind of weird, but so I had to give him a couple more things. One family needed diapers for a baby. This is a perfect time to potty train that child now. You got 2 weeks. You can do it in 2 weeks, believe me, you. So I was thankful for people like Patricia, who, when I had to come off of work duty and get into mommy mode, I couldn't do anything else in the evening. She stepped up and she went grocery shopping last night for a family as well. So thank you guys so much. A number of other families have reached out, and they have, offered some list of the things that they need. We're saying, listen, do essentials, basically, right? Don't have like a wish list of everything you might want right now, but just essentials to kind of get you through the next couple weeks. Now, the other thing I want to say is, I did tell y'all that you probably shouldn't take me for a fool any day of the week, right? So I had one person who reached out with a sob story. And I thought to myself, this person looks familiar. That photo looks familiar. And I started doing some checks. And this is a person who'd come before with a Crimea River story about how they needed a job. We had helped them secure a job. And they didn't keep the job. And at the time, I sent to them, I had a very firm conversation with them to say, listen, people think you're kind of abusing the system, right? That you're not the best mom. You don't even have your children, although they were saying that they had the children and they wanted donations, whatever. And I said, I don't mind helping anybody because I think every single person deserves a second chance in life. We've all done stupid things, right? So you deserve a chance to prove yourself and to do better. But you don't deserve a chance to take advantage of good-hearted people. So I said, at the end of the day, I want you to be mindful of the fact that people will help you up to a point, and then people will not help you anymore. And this is the truth. This is how life is. So don't use people, because when people figure out that you're using them, they're never going to be helping you, really. And so, oh no, Miss Sandy, I'm going to do better. I'm going to do this, blah, 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 blah. One of those Caymanians that letting some Jamaican guy come here and use her to be able to stay in Cayman, up and down with him, partying, neglecting her children. Those are not the kind of people that I jump out of the way. out of my way to help. So anyway, hadn't heard from this person in a minute. And then I started getting these messages yesterday that just were not adding up. So the first messages were about a situation about having lost her car lease from some local company, some leasing company, after being late with a payment. So the next voice note, which was a couple hours later, was like, oh, and by the way, because she said, I don't even know how I'm going to go pick up my children today from school. Really upset about that. That was in one voice note. Literally 4 hours later, the voice note changes to, oh, I'm one of those Georgetown families that's impacted and I'm locked down and can't go anywhere. How do I get food? Wait a minute. Say what now? Jesus, can you have it make sense? Because if you could tell me that you didn't know how you were going to pick up your children that evening from school, how can you now tell me that you're one of the Georgetown primary families that's in lockdown? That doesn't make any sense. Either the first statement was a lie or the second statement was a lie. Which is it? Is Patricia? Thank your sister. What is her name? Thank her so much for helping out as well. So which is it, sister? And then when I saw this inconsistency in this story, it made me think about, who is this person actually messaging me? Who is this person who really thinks that Sandy Hill is a fool? You know, when people in a community as small as Cayman need help, you shouldn't take advantage of people who are trying to help you, and you should also not misrepresent the facts. Yes, there are people in this community who have drug addiction issues. They're alcoholics. They're on harder drugs than that. And I would rather that person come to me and say, listen, I'm a cokehead. I'm going to admit it. And I want $5 from you right now to go get a hit, but I'm also hungry. Can you help me out? And I'm going to say, all right, darling, I'm not going to give you the $5 because I really do believe you'll get a hit with that. But what I'll do is I'll get you a plate of food. I will feed you from here until kingdom come. Okay? I'll make sure you're well fed. I'm not going to support your drug issue or your drug habit. And you also shouldn't be seeking to take advantage of anyone. The government has been providing assistance. And I want to talk about, I need to check something as it relates to NAU, because someone has brought up something about them. But before I say anything that makes them look bad, I actually want to check into it to make sure that those are the facts of how NAU operates. So NAU is struggling to help people. I could understand why it is essential that if you were not prepared for this lockdown and this isolation situation, you wouldn't have been ready. And here's the truth about it. Employers can only give you so much time. So you know what is so funny? This woman who's now up at the Wyndham Hotel, think about people like her, right? Who are breaching quarantine. That individual and people like that, her husband actually has a job, right? So he's now using up, I guess, vacation time, sick time, whatever time that the employer is going to be giving them for that. And then after that, that is unpaid time. And you've got children to support. This is where I don't understand how parents can be so selfish, even at the risk of being selfish towards their own children. Right? I mean, we're supposed to be making sacrifices in life, not just for ourselves, but we have to think about other people, the other people that rely on us, like our children, who have no choice. They did not choose you as parents. They didn't choose to be born into the circumstances that they were born into, a lot of dysfunctionality. And so if you can't even do what's in the best interest of your own children, what kind of person are you? looking to use the system, even looking to use somebody like me. I'm not a millionaire, you fools. You know what I'm saying? Somebody just knew who I was talking about because this person has a reputation for doing this sort of thing. If you come to me and you say, Miss Sandy, I need clothes for my children, and I put out the word and we get new clothes, and then I find out that you don't even have custody of your own children, don't you think that would have been a little bit of an important tidbit of information to share? First of all, it came on too small. You expose and you're behind. You know what it's about monkeys. The higher you crawl, the more you can expose yourself. And then what you do, whether you recognize it or not, is you make someone like me one of the softest hearts, believe it or not, in the world when it comes to anything with children. You make me a hardened person, because then everybody now is going to be scrutinizing, or I'm going to be scrutinizing everyone who comes to me for help, which I guess I should do anyway. So when people donate stuff for you and you're selling it on social media, on EK Trade and other places, in order to support some no good man and not really your children, that's just wrong. So you're trying to hit me up now, but you're one of those people in need because of Georgetown primary lockdown. But your previous message just 4 hours before said that you were going to pick up your children from school. Honey child, the two shall never meet. They don't fit together. One is a lie. And which story is a lie? Only God knows. But I'm also the kind of person you can fool me once and you might get away with it. But the second time? No. No, 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 no. It ain't gonna happen. Sad. Very, very sad. It's not even necessary. It's not even necessary to lie, because I always feel like, you will always find someone who will help you almost regardless of your plight. Like some people will just be like, okay, you need help, I'll just find you help. I keep saying this to people, and I really hope that people get the message. That at the end of the day, you should be mindful that people's goodwill only extends so far. It's the same thing with the job situation. You cannot go out there and keep getting jobs and not showing up to work. You don't show up to work on time. You don't do your part and think that by next week you can get another job. Those days have long passed, right? Where you get infinite opportunities in Cayman. Everybody is suffering at some level. And even the people who are not suffering all that much are only going to give you so many chances in life. You only get to burn so many bridges before people say, we're done with you. You've run out of chances. And then you will have no more chances. You will have no more job opportunities. You're ruining your own reputation on an island the size of a little rock. And trust me, that is the last thing that you want to do. There's some very well-poised, people in this community. They've been politicians. They've done this. They've done that. And then they've done things that have completely ruined their chances at having any real opportunities in life. They're criminals who every time they get a job, they steal money from people. And so they also have ruined their opportunities of people being able to trust them. And people can only trust you so much. Thank you, Tracy. How are you? I was going to message you yesterday, Tracy, just to check in and see how your weekend was. Miss Marjorie, thank you. Deep Blue Sea says there are some who will never do any better They prefer to use the hard luck story seeking sympathy. Bottom line is they're just whatless. Yep. And Deep Blue said, I think I told you yesterday, all kind of messages of need help. And I still am optimistic that most people are honest, genuine people who really do need the help. I still believe that. Right? So when someone sends me a list that, okay, I need rice, I need chicken, I need this, whatever, I believe that they're going to stay in isolation, first of all, with their children, and they need these items to feed their family. And it's not like they're just stockpiling a pantry full of food or looking to sell it or run some scam or whatever. I believe that that's 97% of the people. It's the 3%ers that always looking to run a scam on somebody that ruins it for everyone. And that is the most unfortunate situation, right? Patricia says, unfortunately, there are people who will take advantage, but thankfully we have a brain. Yeah. And they always manage to trick themselves up in some way, which I think is so incredibly funny. Miss Sue says it's going to get much worse with the economy going the way that it is. Nicole is here for Jonathan's 3G program, or G3. 3G. G3. Patricia says, my ex-husband always told people who knocked on her door here in West Bay, I'm not giving you money, but I'll feed you every day. Most of them left, unfortunately, never to come back because the addicts need a different type of help, professional help. Yeah. Yep. Petition the government over the opening date, says Anne. You see, the minority often has a louder voice than the majority. Because I don't think it's majority people who want to remain closed, but they are the ones who are the most vocal. So if government is constantly hearing that voice, then yes, it's a problem. As Iva says, NAU will support them. They're the ones that get the help. Sad to say. Well, I think the more that NAU requires them to even prove their financial situation, they're always looking for other people to help augment, I guess, what they're getting from NAU. Yes, government is paying for quarantining for certain individuals. I certainly hope to hear the charges that will be coming out of the situation. Now, a lot of you have focused your time and energy on the wife, but the husband has also breached quarantine. He was seen out on Friday evening at least 3 different clubs that night. He was out at Casa in the Strand. Again, RCIPS, simply go pull the cameras. You have all the evidence that you need. He was at, what's the name of this club here now? The one there in town, Cotton Club. So he was at Cotton Club as well. And he was also at a private party event that happened in the Compass building. I don't know what they have upstairs there, some venue for parties or something. I know nothing about this, but people who were there, like, yeah, the dude was there for a party for a 16-year-old. So it's not just the wife that has breached quarantine, it's also the husband. Now, when you're married to certain people, you're always having to defend their bad behavior. And unfortunately, the husband in this case is all about that life. I don't know what she done to him, as Caribbean people would say, but he defends her to the point where he's even not speaking to his own family, which is so sad. So sad. Because, when you're married to someone who's a constant lawbreaker, one of these days they're going to end up in jail. And you're going to be left alone with 4 children, or how many number of children you got, to mind by yourself. And who else do you think is going to be there for you but your family? The same ones you can't talk to now because they see right through the situation that you're in, but you can't admit to it. Anyway, he's all about that life, living that life of going out every weekend, trying to pretend like they're the most ghetto fabulous couple this side of the Mississippi. And he defends her behavior, and he's trying to make this, CMR against her. We could care less about this woman, to be quite frank and honest. What we care about is people who continually have no regard for the laws of this country, continually have no regard for the safety and well-being of other people. Your wife is highlighted and in the news because of her own actions, not because of anything else, because of what she does. Nobody cares except when she starts to break the law and do all this other stuff. The woman has admitted in an interview to NAU fraud, essentially. She said whatever money she gets, that's none of NAU's business, because she's entitled to be able to get plastic surgery. She's entitled to be able to buy expensive $300 hair and all this kind of stuff. She's entitled to, let me not go there, to do all these things, to go out partying every weekend. That's nobody's business, she said, because her children must be taken care of by the people of the Cayman Islands, aka NAU, because her husband is a Caymanian. Have y'all forgotten that interview? It's still there. Go and listen to her own words and her attitude. And this man is supporting this kind of foolishness? He should be ashamed of himself. What kind of man is that? Now, I know men not really running households anymore, but geez, they should be if they got any sense. Forgive me if I don't think that you should have imported this lady from Jamaica, of all places. And when I say that, I don't care if she's from Jamaica or Honduras or wherever. I don't care. You've imported her to be a burden on the people of the Cayman Islands. Why not go back to her country and be a burden on the government there? I'm sure the Jamaican government will sort you out in a hurry. We pay for NAU. If y'all think NAU is free, you have no idea. We're all paying for it. Millions of dollars. And we shouldn't question that? Well, I know one thing. I'm going to be questioning it because it's wrong. I shouldn't have to pay for slackness. Francisco Trejo, you're not the person that I heard from. So I don't know what you're talking about. Francesco. No. Let me see. Because if you think you're the person who messaged me yesterday and you're saying that I must look at my dates, well, WhatsApp is very easy to check and to verify. Now, don't be outing yourself if it's not actually you. You might want to be careful, as they say, thou does protest too much. Because the person I'm speaking to, if you're a man, I was not speaking to you about this situation at all. So let me just see. Hold on a second. We shall certainly check. So the person who was messaging me is a woman and not a man. So I'm a little bit confused. The past PPM government seems to always listen to the majority non-Caymanians. At least PAC listened to the minority Caymanians. Well, that's one way to look at it. Look at the dates of your messages when you mix up your story, trying to make someone seem to be the bad person. Okay, so your name is Francisco Trejo? Because that's not who's messaging me. So You might want to clarify that point. Angela says, pin the interview, please. Oh, yes. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Somebody has just told me that there's some kind of compass loft where you can actually hold on, have a party, I guess. Okay, I don't know anything about that, but let me get this link for the person who's just requested it. Yeah, go back and listen to the interview. It's all there for everybody to see for yourselves what kind of people we're dealing with. Ms. Zalda says the majority of Caymanians, as the majority of 60% expats, call us finally being paid attention to the PAC government. All right, send the link to the interview. Yes, there you go. It's there. My wife worked there too, and I can't go to work, and I need food in my house, me and my family. I reach out and still didn't get any responses yet. Works at Georgetown Primary. Aliano says we forget the senior citizens crying in NAU, and we have this train wreck woman flossing. Oh boy. Everyone is flossing. Open the borders and let the herd immunity ball rolling. Well, Morna, unfortunately, we've talked about this before. That once people are here and they have these anchor children, there's no opportunity for them to be returned in most instances. So, we're saddled with that burden. I must have a party? You got to be joking. No, honey child, that will not be happening. Okay, so I'm getting some messages. I have no clue what those are about. Sandy, what I meant by comment, that's not against mask wearing and children 11 and under in schools. It just doesn't add up. We contained the Georgetown primary outbreak, but have we? Well, we don't know if we've contained it yet. We're still waiting. I mean, the last couple of days, obviously those persons are supposed to be in lockdown, which, by the way, let me say this much, that not everyone, there are other people who are allegedly breaching quarantine as well. So there was an example of someone who was observed having a dinner, an anniversary dinner or something last night, and they're a parent of a Georgetown primary child, and they're supposed to be in lockdown. And they're at a restaurant showing a photo of a menu. Now, obviously, the police have to investigate these alleged breaches, but if these are a real-time indication of what is happening, right, then we have got a problem. These people are saying they're out on a date night. On a date, kind of nervous. And this was Instagram stories, which are real-time stories. How can you be on a date if you are supposed to be in isolation? And y'all love yourselves and Instagram so much and social media that you are outing yourselves. Are you actually on a date last night when this Instagram story was posted? Is there any way to post an Instagram stories? You guys have to tell me this because I'm really not that IG savvy. Can you post Instagram stories from like sometime in the past? Because if this person was actually at this restaurant, and I can't quite tell what restaurant this is. I was looking closely at the menu. And it looks like it could be a steakhouse because there's a whole section about steaks on the menu. You see how they have the little cow symbol and they have all that information on steaks? This is a steakhouse because a regular restaurant isn't going to give you all of this information on the types of steak like ribeye, tenderloin, and tell you all the little graphs, and you got a little picture of the steak of the cow, telling you what part of the body that particular sirloin tip comes from. This is a steakhouse. And the number of steakhouses in Cayman are actually very, very limited. So I'm confused about these individuals who are going on dates, allegedly. Oh, somebody says that's the kitchen at Fidel's. Fidel's has such an extensive menu. Boy, y'all know your food, though. Oh, y'all are like real detectives around here. I guess I don't really eat at Fidel's, but they have such an extensive steak menu. What a mess. Well, supposedly this person who's supposed to be in quarantine is out and about. Somebody sent another person yesterday out and about. So here's what you do. Send it to the police, investigate. Travel time tells you to send all reports to the RCIPS. So Perla, we are waiting for the government to penalize these. And this isn't a question of Alden versus Wayne Panton. This is the RCIPS. So thank you, Jared. He says, yes, you can, but a timestamp will be shown on it. Oh, interesting. Oh, somebody else says the kitchen is separate from Fidel's. A different place. The kitchen focuses on steak. Oh, okay. And sure. Y'all not easy, you know. Gotta love me some. Oh, the kitchen is right next door. I've actually been to the kitchen, I think, for lunch, but I didn't see all this steak stuff going on in the menu. But listen, my amateur detectives are on the job, and they have proven to me that that is the location because there's the menu. We see bar snacks, and we see steaks with the same little photos of the steak, of the little cow, and all that kind of stuff. That is certainly that menu right there. Same menu, honey child. Interesting. So now we've narrowed down the location of the individual. Police, we've solved 75% of your case right there. You just need to verify it. Verify that they were there last night and that they have a child that goes to Georgetown Primary. And that's another one that should be in court for breach of. So the police are the ones who have to enforce it. And in fact, let me tell you that we have some people coming up for court. Now, these people need to be ashamed of themselves because they sit on boards. Oh my gosh. 2 West Bay men have actually been charged with breaching quarantine. Mario Eduardo Arbarca Cervera, what a name. And Richard Lonnie Parchment. Now, someone said to me, I don't know who Richard Lonnie Parchment is, but they said, isn't he the deputy chairman of the Port Authority? And I said to myself, he is? Richard Lonnie Parchment. Let me see. Richard Parchment. I feel like I should know who he is. Richard Lonnie Parchment. Let's see. Need a photo. Images of Richard Lonnie Parchment. I don't feel like I know him. That's him, gray-haired man with a little beard. Richard Parchment, associate at Harney's. I don't know him. No clue who he is. An associate at Harney's was breaching quarantine? And he's the deputy chair of the Port Authority? Could that be right? No. I think we better investigate this a bit more. But he has been charged by the RCIPS. What? So he's going to be in court next month. Wow. Sure enough, he's on the judiciary list from 7 days ago, permitting a person to visit him whilst in quarantine. Wow. Y'all know how to make people look bad, though. Permitting a person to visit a place of quarantine. Lord Jehovah. Wow. That's not good, Mr. Richard Lonnie Parchment. Wow. Y'all need to do better. I'm just saying. And it doesn't matter to me that you're Caymanian, I'm guessing, with the last name Parchment. And it certainly doesn't matter to me that you're a lawyer. Although that's kind of sad, though. Are you really a lawyer? In breaking the law? Well, like you mentioned earlier, not all lawyers are the same, is it? As it turns out, some of them just have no regard for the law themselves. What a hot mess. Says here that he has a Bachelor of Arts in Education. Is this the same guy? Special Education Teaching. Bachelor of Theology. Is this the same person? Government consultant? Or is there more than one Richard Lonnie Parchment? I don't know. Let me make sure I have the right fella. We'll certainly confirm his identification. They claimed that they were doing it in the name of work. And they were sent to a government facility. Now, I hope that they were made to pay for that too. They're going to be in court October the 5th. Wow. Y'all got to do better. Wow. Oh. See, I was thinking that was another Parchment. People are helping me solve that mystery here. Interesting. That's a little mystery to be solved this morning before that story goes live. No, I think that there's two Richard Parchments, I'm sure of it. And I'm sure that the reason why they have his middle name is for that precise reason, because there's actually two Richard Parchments in Cayman. You see, this is when you listen, when you have a last name like Ebanks, Parchment, what are some other popular, Bodden, try and pick a first name that distinguishes your child from everybody else, because there's just too many of them. So, I'll confirm which Richard Parchment this is. Because someone said there's only one Richard Parchment on the register of directors. Well, according to Google, there's more than one, but this can't be him. So it must be, I mean, I've only ever heard of one, so this is a little bit interesting. I think maybe Google just had the wrong name. Don't worry, we'll get that sussed out here quickly. Okay, so someone said he went to school with me and was always called Lonnie. Oh, okay. Oh, a work-related reason for breaching quarantine? No, Bobo. That's not gonna work. No bueno. Nona says clearly these daily instances of quarantine breaches prove that these people simply have no respect for those in charge. Chaos. Well, they have no respect for the law. And, you know, they don't understand the implications of their actions. It's unfortunate. I didn't even know the kitchen was a steakhouse. Miss Elaine says it's one of the best steakhouses on island, better than Steak Social. I guess I'm just not a steakhouse person, but I do love me some, what's the one there in West Bay Road? I think they've had a slight change in name since it's reopened. I think I just was talking about it. Oh gosh, what's the name of it? Oh, right by the Strand. Copper Falls? I think the name is now just Copper Falls or something. I don't know. They've changed the name. But anyhow, you know what I like about Copper Falls? It's not even the steak, because normally I go there and have chicken or something else, which is kind of funny. You go to a steakhouse to have chicken. But their side dishes are to die for. Oh my God. Have you had their mac and cheese? Oh. Do they do a creamy spinach as well? And a corn? Their side dishes? I live for the side dishes. I could go there and just eat the sides. Forget about the steak. But I've not been to Steak Social, so I can't compare it. But maybe I'll go to the kitchen and have a steak then. Miss Emma says, my Cayman family, bless everyone. Let's wear a mask. Thank you. Domenico, what is that post for? Michelle, what's the difference with the girl that came here and broke quarantine to watch a wave runner race, and those people who breached quarantine, they were quick to put them in prison. Why not keep up? Now, I agree 1,000%, Michelle. And there have been others. There was the film director who also went to prison. I mean, her situation was a tad different, but it was still a breach. And at the end of the day, a breach is a breach is a breach. The court will look at the details of the breach in deciding what sentence to pass. So I believe that they should all be charged. Michelle, I'm in agreement with you. Accordingly, there should be no difference between them. So this Richard Lonnie Parchment isn't an attorney, just to be clear. Let me clarify that. Now I'm aware of who he is. Now I see, which is very interesting. Y'all need to know better. Or do better. Not just know better. You need to do better. We need to open up, says Jonathan. Him and his G3 plan is ready to launch. Perla says, I've had 3 cups so far. CMR is too hot today. Oh, speaking of, look at me. I've forgotten all about my poor little watermelon sitting here. Mind you, I don't mind it sitting here for a while because I do not like cold watermelon. And you know, you have to put it in the fridge. And then it puts my teeth on edge. So I don't mind it sitting at room temperature to warm up a little bit. But 3 cups already? My God. Girl, you're going to be bouncing off the walls here. They think they're above the law, says Emma, because of who their friends are. And sometimes it is so. So much corruption in this little island. Well, nobody should be above the law. And where's Lloyd's Steakhouse? Where's that one? There's so many steakhouses on this island for such a small island. Jonathan says all vaccinated people need to stand up and demand the borders reopen. Well, hell, the unvaccinated should stand with us too, because they don't believe that there's a virus or anything going on. So what's the problem? Let's just reopen. Let's do it. Very, very interesting developments this morning. I've got some scratching around to do. What a hot mess. Y'all know that you can't be finding any excuses, folks, as to why you shouldn't comply with the law. Come on now. Oh, I hate to see Caymanians do this. Anybody, I mean, I don't care if you're Caymanian or not, but it does insult me a little bit more when a Caymanian breaks the law, because this is our country, folks. If no one is going to care about this country but us, it should be us. You know what I'm saying? And when you have no regard for it, I'm just like, why? It's no wonder other people can come here and think that they can disrespect your house. Because if you can't even respect your own house, you know? No, man, come on now. Sure. What a mess. I'm so disappointed. What a mess. So poor Lavelle has gone back to protesting out by the government building. A number of people have seen her out there. Very, very unfortunate situation. She continues to say that she needs justice. I hope that one day she will be in a position to get the help that she needs. And, you know, get that situation sorted out. I feel sorry for her. On the one hand, and I know a lot of us are also like, you know, it's obvious that something isn't right with her. But then some people say, are you sure about that, Sandy? Because she seems to be so intelligent. And I said, well, sometimes someone can be intelligent and they still have mental health issues, and it manifests itself in a different way. Because apparently what she does is she'll go to protests in a particular outfit, normally very, very short shorts, batty riders, showing everything. You don't have to look far. And she dances and twerks and does the most to draw attention to herself. And then when she's getting ready to leave for the day, she will change clothes into a more professional looking outfit, which is so ironic. And then go and hitch a ride around the corner so that you don't notice that if you were someone who wasn't really paying attention, you would not notice actually that that was the same person who had just been protesting in front of the government building. So remember, she was at the governor's residence for a while. Thank God she left him alone. He must be so relieved, but he still has to go to work and see it now. But he must have been so relieved, like, oh, thank the Lord, at least it's not at my residence. Poor Miss Lizzie must have been like, honey, can't you do something about this woman in these shorts? It's just so inappropriate. It's interfering with the enjoyment of my afternoon tea. I really can't digest this tea with her twerking and working it. Please, darling, can you call the National Guard, the regiment? Have them help me. Now she's out on the steps of the government building. But, you know, people say, listen, if the Cubans can go out there and protest, why not her? I mean, I don't know. Javid is having a laugh at my attempts at an English accent. Miss Iva says, I travel with my CMR cup to drink my Milo while I watch you. Yes, sir. Take that. Speaking of people with their CMR cups, big shout out. I'm going to do a birthday greeting here, so don't y'all log off. You got to listen to this one. Big shout out to Marshall. Marshall, are you here this morning? Marshall got his mug yesterday, courtesy of Louis. So Louis had an extra mug, and Marshall wanted a mug, so I sent Louis the address, and guess what? Louis hooked up Marshall, sent him his mug, and there he is. And Marshall made sure to tell me, honey child, I'm not drinking coffee or tea in this. I'm drinking some wine. Mm-hmm. I said, well, that's the beauty of a mug. You can pretty much have anything in it. You know what I love to put in a mug? Ice cream. Am I the only person? I think I've said this before. Am I the only person who loves to put ice cream in a mug? What's the name of that ice cream? Jen and Berries? Is it Jen and Berry? What the heck is it called? Jen and Berries? Is that what it is? Yes, Jen and Berries ice cream. Now I gotta tell you which one is my favorite. And I'm blaming Miss, hold on now. I'll tell you who I'm gonna blame for this. It's all her fault how I got addicted to this ice cream. Oh God, I gotta find which one it is now. It is so divine. Oh my God. Oh, Miss, oh gosh, what's my little friend name now? Hold on now. Hold on. I'm gonna still tell you her name. Her name is escaping me. She don't want to get blamed for this morning. But she's gonna be at fault for the extra pounds that I'm putting on. Oh Lord. Oh, Margene. Yes, this is the fault of Margene Ebanks. I wasn't gonna let her get away with it. Margene introduced me to this ice cream, you folks, and this is the best ice cream in the world. Seriously, I wouldn't lie to you about this. Let me see if I can find it. Where is it? But yes, I love ice cream in a mug. Because you know what? I like for it to melt just a little bit. Not a whole lot. So it's not like you're eating a full, whatever. But I like it to melt just enough to be able to kind of scoop it out with the spoon at the bottom. Now look at this Jen and Berry. One day I saw her at Foster's and Countryside. She's like, Sandy, I was walking through the ice cream section. I wasn't really planning on buying any ice cream, but she's like, oh my God, Sandy, you got to try this one. I was like, I don't even like coffee. But listen, coffee toffee bar crunch is the best ice cream. Oh my God. Like I said, I don't really like ice. I don't like coffee. I don't drink coffee at all. But I will indulge in coffee flavored ice cream and the one drink there at Cafe del Sol, caramel frap or whatever. That has coffee in it, a little bit, I guess, coffee flavored or whatever. And I like to drink that, but I don't drink coffee. You'd never be able to offer me a cup of coffee. But this ice cream, y'all need to go get you some at Foster's. I don't know who else sells it, but I bought the last one. Was it yesterday or day before? I saw only one there and I said, oh my gosh, they're almost out of Ben and Jerry's. And there's only one coffee toffee bar crunch left. So I grabbed it up and I put it in the cart. I try not to eat it too often. I just leave it in the fridge, but geez, I'm beast. You scoop a little bit of that in your CMR mug. Lavana says that she's intelligent and she knows what she's doing, but something's still missing. Something not firing in all cylinders. Lydia says very good English. I don't know. I'm sure English people listen to me and they think, what the hell is wrong with her? I need to go to London for a week so I can come out with a proper English accent. I'll be having tea with the Queen. So yes, Marshall is official. He's got his mug. Ooh, Bonnie, Ben and Jerry's. Did I say Jen and Jerry's? I think I said Jen, right? It is Ben and Jerry's. What the hell am I talking about? Ben and Jerry's. Was I saying Jen and Barry? It's Ben and Jerry. You can tell how much I'm into ice cream. Not a whole lot, but this particular one, whew, I'll eat that any day of the week. Trust me. So a bit of good news. There's a young lady here who's celebrating a birthday. She's 5 years old. Let us all join together and wish Miss Kaylee a happy birthday. Look at that little princess. Isn't she adorable? I love her little princess dress. So cute. Oh my goodness. And here's the good news. She's one of those children that goes to Georgetown Primary. So unfortunately for her birthday, she is in lockdown. Patricia can understand the Ben and Jerry's therapy, chocolate therapy. Thank you, Miss Vernita. So this little doll is 5 years old, celebrating her birthday, but she's in lockdown. But you know what? She's obeying all the rules. So there's some people who wanted to make her birthday special, and they arranged to do just that by sending little Kaylee a cake, and she got balloons, she got some pizza. So big shout out to Oscar, Nancy, Yadela, Jesus, and Sherry, who made her birthday fantastic despite the fact that she had to spend it in lockdown. Look at the video.
Happy birthday to you. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 cakes. She's so special.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, happy birthday, happy birthday to you. Yeah.
So Kaylee, happy birthday. Her mom says she actually loves the show. I was like, she's only 5. Her mom says she loves the show. So I better be watching my language because this isn't always appropriate for a 5-year-old. But anyway, Kaylee, happy birthday, my darling. We wish you all the best. I think every 5-year-old, they're so excited when they're 5 about everything in life. They should have the best birthday, and despite the circumstances, there were some people who really made it special for her. So again, happy birthday, Kaylee. Wishing you all the best. Kids that age are just so funny. I got to tell you about a conversation I had with my daughter. So I picked her up from school, and I guess she was thinking in the car. She says, "Mommy, where were you born?" And I was like, "Oh, I was born right here in the Cayman Islands, just like you, at Georgetown Hospital." And she's like, "Oh, so I'm a Caymanian because I was born in the Cayman Islands, and you're a Caymanian too?" And I was like, "Yeah." So then she was thinking some more. She's like, "What about Daddy?" "Well, Daddy wasn't born in the Cayman Islands." I was like, "No, so he's not a Caymanian. Daddy's a Jamaican." And she's like, "A Jamaican?" I said, "Yeah, because he's from Jamaica." She's like, Probably a little bit too complex to start explaining to her that she's technically half Jamaican too. But she'll get there. So she was kind of piecing it together in her head. If I was born here and I'm a Caymanian, and my mommy was born here, she's a Caymanian too. Like she had this aha moment. I was like, yes, sort of. I asked her what she wanted to be for Halloween. She said, "I want to be a princess or a, what was it? A princess or something else." And they're basically the same. I'm like, they're kind of the same. She's like, no. A princess is different from what was it? A princess or some other term. I can't remember now. So I was thinking to myself, a princess again this year? Weren't we a princess last year? Can't we do something different? Don't you want to be Batgirl or something? She's like, no, I want to be a princess. I said, all right. We can certainly recycle that outfit. Soka chimes in on the ice cream discussion. She says that her favorite is Cherry Garcia, made with almond milk. To die for. Always love cherries. I've never had it. I don't feel like I need to get addicted to any other flavors. Like, I can see where this isn't going to end well, right? Chat, please. I'm still trying to get motivation to start working out, which hasn't, the motivation just has, it's left me. I think back to myself in my younger days, and even not that long ago, how I used to be so motivated. Like, I was going to the gym every day, doing dance aerobics. I was playing squash. I was playing tennis. I'm like, where has my exercise mojo gone? It's just ran away. It never seems to want to come back. This is horrible, y'all. We need to do something about this. So y'all need to help me get motivated. Remember during COVID, we were exercising with Ricardo? I wonder what Ricardo's up to. Now he's got 2 kids, so he might not have any time for us. He's got a young one that's a couple months old, so he's busy with family life. But we need to get back to walking and exercising. I have an idea for this government. The government needs to kickstart a wellness program. Anybody got any contact? Message Wayne for me, right? Tell him right now. Wayne Panton, Sandy says you all need to do a wellness program and have the whole country start to join in. We can do Tai Chi once a week. We can do reggae aerobics. We can just start walking. Start off slow because we're all kind of getting up there now where that middle age creep is a serious thing. But we could all do with losing at least 25 pounds. Honestly, I could lose 50 pounds. I'll still be okay. Probably more than that. But I like the idea. You know, they're stressed out. We're stressed out. And everybody knows that exercise is good for you when you're stressed. It helps to relieve the stress. Most of us just turn to food, and not the best food in the world either. Perla says, Sandy, don't put on the weight. We need CMR fit and trim. Well, child, I ain't fit and trim now. So, but I'm telling you, we got to work on it. No, Soka, I'm not going to try it. It's dark chocolate shavings. Oh, God. You see, that's one of the things I actually like about the other one. Is it has a different texture. Like, it has a couple things in it that are going on. So you see, it has the dark chocolate. And then it has the toffee, which I love me a toffee. So it gives you a little bit of crunch. And then it has the coffee flavored. It has a couple things in it. It is legit delicious. And that picture, that's how it looks. That's not a Photoshop picture, you know. Child, y'all make me hungry. But I'm going to be good. I'm going to have me some watermelon. I'm actually eating breakfast today, which is unusual. I'm going to have some watermelon. I've got a 10:30 meeting. And then I got to go to West Bay. Big shout out to Kathy Wilkes. I'm going to go visit her in West Bay today. We got some stuff to do with Kathy. So I'm going to have watermelon. I'm going to try to have a lunch. I'm going to try to have lunch at a decent hour today. Yesterday, lunch was like 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Al says, Ma Road took it. Just did 15 minutes on my treadmill. Good for you, Miss Sue. Every day, keep the heart and knees going. 50 pounds to go. I feel you. Jonathan, nobody wants to put their child at risk with this thing. Trust me. Soka's having a good laugh. Such bad influence. No, Guy, I'm not going for the ice cream. Let me see. Your name is Guyleen. Is that how you pronounce it? Guyleen? Freschetti. Is this an Italian name? She says, go for the ice cream. To hell with the... Forget the watermelon. Go for the ice cream. Does anybody make like watermelon flavored ice cream? You guys are the worst. You're supposed to be encouraging me to exercise and lose 50 pounds, not go eat ice cream for breakfast, especially. Oh my God. Thank you so much, folks. Anything else we got going on? We're pretty much out of time. Let me just have a look at my little list to see if there's anything else we wanted to talk about. So Pfizer for kids are coming. The FDA might make a decision this week on the booster shot. So they will be voting on that. We talked about the new travel policy in the US. Yesterday we had, I think it was 8 new positives but those were travelers, so nothing new in terms of local transmission. Oh, the post office. In case you need to go to the post office. Does anybody go to the post office anymore? Anyway, if you do, they're going to be closed today. They're closing a little bit early at, I think it's 3 o'clock. So if you need to go to the post office for whatever reason, please go early, because they're closing early. They got something going on there. They didn't quite say what it was. It was kind of very cryptic message, like we're closing early because we got something to do. And it's like, okay. But they wouldn't say what it was. It was kind of like, okay. The Department of Health Regulatory Services has also closed its customer service desk at the government admin building effective yesterday. So they sent this out the same day it was closed. So for applications, complaints, and inquiries, including the Premium Payment Assistance Program, the department encourages customers to use electronic mediums such as mail and telephone. Telephone is not electronic, is it really? Okay, I guess it's been around long enough. Hard copies of the forms may be placed in the drop box at the government admin building. So DCI has also announced, this is Trade and Business Licensing, that, well, they've been online for a minute now, and they're encouraging all of you to use their online services as well. Nobody wants you coming in contact with them. And I say, you know, on the one hand, I guess maybe some people don't have the access to do stuff online, but there are businesses like, check out Odell Suarez over in Dorsey Place. He'll help you with online applications and stuff like that. So a lot of people are going out of their way, especially government, to do everything, all transactions online, and they're encouraging you to do so as well, right? So do your best. To follow those protocols. All right, my beautiful people. Anything else you got for me? Miss Sue says, absolutely right. Cole will be here no matter what or when we open. Thank you, Acer. Thank you, Soka. French name. Most letters are not pronounced. Well, I never took French. I did Spanish, so I faked the French. So I don't know. Which letters are silent, do you think? I have no clue. Jonathan says if it's the children that everyone's worried about, we'll never open up unless we decide not to have children for the next 10 years till the CIA government figures that out. Well, no, I'm confident that the vaccine for children is coming. And then yes, we will have to open. But listen, Jonathan, this is it. Let me end on this note, right? We have an obligation to buffer our children. Just like young babies can't be vaccinated for whooping cough, but they don't have anywhere to catch it if nobody else in the community has it. This is the significance of vaccinations, folks. There will always be people who cannot get it, but enough of the regular community has it. You offer an invisible shield of protection against the very slight minority who cannot get it. But what we have now is a situation where people are refusing vaccines willy-nilly, and that is causing outbreaks, not just of COVID, but of all sorts of different things. All right, good folks. Thank you once more for tuning into the program. You guys have a wonderful day today. It is Truthful Tuesdays. Well, we're always truthful here on CMR. Have a fantabulous day. Soka, thank you. Don't be like John and pronounce everything foreign word like it's Spanish. He wasn't even pronouncing it like it was Spanish, John. I don't know what he was doing. But anyway, we won't go there. We won't leave poor John alone. I think John must think I don't like him. And I don't actually know him to like him or not like him. But he has had some very interesting moments. I got to tell you. Last night, let me end on this positive note. Did you guys see the moon last night? Speaking of John. Anytime now I think of John, I think of the moon. That has stuck in my head. I went to the grocery store last night. So I got home Remember, I'm not allowing my child to go to the grocery store right now. I feel like the grocery store like has too many people. So I brought her home. And I'm like, you hang out in the garden with daddy. I'm going to go back to the grocery store. Oh, how could I forget to show you guys what I cooked last night? Oh, hold on now. So anyway, on my way back from the grocery store, I was in the car and I saw the moon. It had like an orange kind of tint over it. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a beautiful moon. Absolutely gorgeous. I couldn't believe it. And so I called my husband. I'm like, take Gigi outside, because she's always loved the moon. Like, she's always like, oh, the moon is so pretty. Even when she was like really baby, like a baby, she'd be like, the moon, the moon. Like, she always noticed the moon. So I'm like, take her so she can see the moon. But where they, like, I guess the positioning where the moon was in her house, he couldn't actually see it. It was visible on the main road. I was like, oh my gosh, the moon is so gorgeous. I don't know if it was a full moon last night, but it might have been. It was really pretty. So I decided to try my hand. Remember a few weeks ago during the storm, I was talking about corned beef. Yes, they're two different things. So we were talking about corned beef, and I was like, you know what? I've never actually, I've had like corned beef sandwiches. I've actually never even made corned beef sandwiches myself, but some people can really make a mean corned beef sandwich. And I've never made like corned beef myself. So yesterday, when I went to do the grocery shopping for some folks, somebody had on their list that they wanted corned beef. And I was like, I'm going to pick up a can of corned beef and try cooking it. So, child, I went and Googled corned beef Jamaican style. And, my husband's always like, where do you get these recipes from? I'm like, I don't know. I Google it. And then I find a Jamaican guy named Chef Ricardo. Certainly Chef Ricardo. He sounds legit to me. He's got a YouTube channel of over 1 million followers. The man must know what he's talking about. He must know how to cook. Anyway, child, Chef Ricardo gave me a little recipe idea. And I was like, okay. So I came home and threw a little something together. And look at this. My daughter didn't eat it. She's like, Mommy, I don't like this. And I'm like, try it. Just try one bite. Couldn't get her to eat it to save nobody's life. But look at what I did. A little corned beef mix-up with some coconut rice and some avocado on the side. Thank you, Chef Ricardo. Ervin says he can cook. Soka does not eat meat, but she says, even when I ate meat, yuck, I don't like corned beef. Well, you and Gianna's in the same boat, child. She's like, no, I'm not eating that. I'm like, try a little spoonful. She started eating the rice, and then she was like, oh, the rice tastes good. Now, I make me a mean coconut rice, child. Ask Kevin Dawkins about my coconut rice. Ooh, when he's on a diet, he can't come around if I'm doing like coconut rice and curd chicken, because he loves the coconut rice. But yes, this is my first time ever cooking corned beef. Some people call it bulla beef. That's the same thing, right? So yeah, look at that. I threw a little something together. Child, I must tell you, I finished my plate and I didn't hear any complaints from hubby. He finished his plate too. So, I'm thinking it must have been pretty good. Soka says, I love Gianna. The two of you have not met yet because of all of the travel restrictions that are in place, but maybe one day soon. You got to come home, Soka. Pay us a visit, girl. Take some vacation. So there, I threw it together, and it's not something. Listen, I've never made it in my life before, so it's not going to be like a regular item on the menu. Wee says, I love it with dumpling. Al says corned beef is the worst food. It probably is the worst for you, because even when I was taking out the can, I could see like remnants of fat in there, and I was like, oh, let me just scrape that off. Like, you don't need to add any more oil because it has enough oil in the corned beef itself. But once in a lifetime, I can at least say now I've cooked corned beef. There you go. And it wasn't too bad. People buy Pierre and Cayman. Well, where else are we gonna get it from if we don't buy it? Most of us don't have a pear tree, girl. Wanda is still thinking about Ben & Jerry's, but she's recommending the Chunky Monkey. And she says, and I love corned beef. See, there are lots of foodies around here. Oh, I know. Poor Coco. Wait a minute. You met Gigi? Why don't I remember this? Anyway, she is 5 years old after all. It seems like the time is going by so quickly. Yes, I was thinking about cabbage with it, and then I thought, oh, that's more work than I really feel motivated to do. I was not up for all the cook. Listen, it was a relatively easy recipe, yes? Corned beef don't taste the same anymore. I think it's a new brand of horse. Jonathan, behave yourself. Behave yourself. Folks, thank you so much for tuning into the program. It's your illustrious personalities that certainly make this program worthwhile. I enjoy listening to and reading your comments. Thank you so much. Al reminds us that moderation, I guess. I eat ice cream every day, even though it's vegan. Every day? What? Every day? Like every day? Wow. And you're so slim and trim. Al, I got to find out what your secret is. Maybe you're actually exercising. But yes, child, I couldn't. Oh, no. I would look like a house if I ate ice cream every day. Child, we need to talk because I'm interested to know what your secret is. I thought pear trees were in abundance in Cayman. Soka, nothing is in abundance anymore, especially not since what storm is this that we just had? Grace? Grace, come and mash up the place, child. Nothing is in abundance anymore. But even before then, like, I don't feel like pear trees are really that much in abundance. I don't know. Anyway, I got to go. I got things to do. Y'all should be working, trying to earn some money. Al says he's on the bike right now, exercising, as a matter of fact. Good job. It can be eaten with cabbage, steamed cabbage before, and then add the corned beef. Yeah, because the thing with the corned beef is it is very, the texture of it is mushy, and you can easily overcook it for sure. I can see where that, so you always want to kind of add that last. Like, do all your seasoning first, your fresh, scallions and onions and everything else. It's kind of like ackee. When you're cooking an ackee and saltfish dish, cook up your saltfish first, do all your seasoning and everything, and add the ackee last. Because really, even if it's raw ackee, you only have to turn that a couple times and that's done. You don't have to overcook ackee because then it just like falls apart and it's not quite the same dish. All right, beautiful people. I wish you all the best in terms of a productive day. Grace took down a gooseberry tree in my grandmother's yard that Ivan didn't even take down. Yeah, I think a lot of trees were weakened over the years. So Grace did a number on them for sure. All right. Best soup I ever had was my aunt's corned beef soup. What? There's something called corned beef soup? I've never heard of this before. Can somebody make me some corned beef soup? Because I don't even know what that is. Folks, enjoy your day. You guys are wonderful. I appreciate the support. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you for tuning in to another edition of The Cold Hard Truth. Make sure to check Facebook for showtimes and more information and the latest news at CaymanMarlRoad.com. Subscribe to our IG and Facebook pages to get the latest happenings.